Hi guys, sorry. I had to take the trash out really quick. Or the garbage man kind of doesn't take it. I don't know why. I don't know why he doesn't come in and get it. Why do I have to take it the whole way out there? It's very heavy. Whew. All right. Let's see where we're at today. We're down very, very, very far. 150, I think. No, I was wrong. 139. Oh, that's right. We stopped him in the middle of his stupid ass questions yesterday. Whoo. It's fine. We asked for this. We were like, hey, yeah, this is a great idea. Let's watch OJ.
Testifying for the grand jury in this matter at the Bundy scene?
I recall testifying at the grand jury, but not as to the specifics of the lighting.
Well, let me ask you if you were asked these questions and gave these answers. I think it's page. I guess it. Question, sir. When you arrived, can you tell me if you noticed the lighting in the front of the building there? Was there any? Answer, there was a porch light up the porch. Question, up on the landing. Answer, yes. Question, does that illuminate the walkway? Answer, yes. Question, in any effective way? Answer, it would have illuminated some way. The lighting, I wouldn't say was excellent, but it was far from being dark. It was illuminated. Is that official recollection of your testimony to the grand jury?
I would say that if that's what it says, certainly that's what I said.
And as you think about it, as you sit here now, is that a fair? Yes. And when I say that was the condition you found it in, answer yes. Now, as you think about it, as you sit here now, is that a fair and accurate description of the lighting that you saw out in Bundy on that night of June 12th in the early morning hours of June 13th?
No, certainly that's not all the lighting. That was the porch light.
I know there's other lights, but is that with regard to the lighting that came from the porch light, is a fair and accurate statement of the lighting that came from that porch light?
As to the walkway, yes.
All right. Now, there were other lights also, isn't that correct?
Yes.
And overall, would you say the lighting there was made the premises far from being dark?
Well, that would be a subjective call. It certainly wasn't pitch black to the extent you couldn't see anything. I'd say the lighting was poor, but still light enough where you could see certain things.
All right. With regard to the blood spots that were going in a westerly direction toward the rear of the 875 location, you remember those?
Yes.
You described for us, I believe, on direct examination that at one point you saw footsteps that turned toward the house. You recall that?
They appeared to, yes.
And it was, can you point out, if I were to show you, which I believe is 43A, or have 43A put up. Can you get 43A? Perhaps you can point that out for us.
Your Honor, I believe you'll need to cut the feed for this photo.
Pretlow is looking at that. May I approach, Your Honor?
You may.
Mr. Lang, I'm going to place a photograph before you, and I'm not sure of the number of this photograph, but I see the photographer's number 112 in this photograph off to the left toward the house. I'm going to place this before you. Can you look at that photograph? Do you recognize what's depicted there?
Yes, this is the walkway looking west.
All right. Can you look at that photograph and before I put it on the Elmo, and can you show me where those footsteps are that point toward the house
No,
in that photograph? You can't show?
no.
I believe you were shown this photograph before, and you were able to say there was a distance of perhaps 3 feet between where there's a footprint and where you found a drop of blood. Is that correct? Approximately.
Looks like a little more, but yes, approximately.
All right. And what is your recollection regarding, there was a blood drop found at number of the card that indicates 112. Is that correct?
Yes.
What is your best recollection of how far behind that purported blood drop was the closest set of footprints?
I don't recall. I would have to look at the stride analysis or the schematic or some better photographs than this.
Did you not tell us there was some kind of a measurement with regard to the tile or whatever? How far are each of those tiles? What's the distance of each tile?
I believe it's 11.5 by 11.5.
And your recollection, or your belief was that 112 was perhaps 3.5 feet from the nearest footprints. Is that correct?
I believe the nearest footprints depicted here. This is a very poor photograph. It's hard to tell with the sunlight on there.
All right. This is one of your photographs, but I'll see if we can get a better one. Now, can you look on there and tell us where the footprints were turned toward the house?
No, again, if I could see a schematic or a better photograph.
Now, with regard to the, you mentioned a couple of times a stride analysis. You use some kind of an expert to determine whether or not the person who dropped this blood, was that person running or walking? Did you use somebody to try to make that determination?
There were persons who looked at that, yes.
Have you got a report in that connection? You can answer that yes or no.
Well, I have a partial report on the stride analysis as to the blood. I don't.
You have a partial report in stride analysis?
Yes.
It's your opinion that the person who was heading westbound toward that alleyway was dripping blood. Is that correct?
Yes.
And in that connection, you and I discussed that was a distance of approximately 120 feet, give or take. Is that correct?
Approximately, yes.
And in that 120 feet distance from the front to the back, you found what you believe to be 4 blood drops. Is that correct?
Well, it'd be 5, including the one in the alley.
Well, there's one in the alley, which I'm separating out. That's in the alley.
Okay.
But 4 in this walkway area. Is that right?
That's correct.
4 blood drops in this 120 feet area. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And then the 5th one would be in the alleyway. Is that correct?
Yes.
We've established there's no way you could date those footprints, right?
Date the
You could
footprints?
date, you strike that. There's no way you could date any blood drops.
One
I mean-
cannot necessarily tell the age.
Weird, but I'll try it. I love red. Red flags are my favorite. Blood drops, red. Yeah, I'll date that.
Of a blood now.
Right. And with regard to this matter, did you have an expert who did any kind of a blood spatter analysis regarding these blood drops?
His name was Dexter.
There was someone who did look at blood spatter, yes.
And you have such an expert?
I don't know.
By the way, with regard to the eyeglasses, were the eyeglasses ever checked or analyzed for any trace evidence that might be on them, on the glasses?
I don't believe so. I believe, in fact, that they are still in the envelope because tests are being conducted and were being conducted on the envelope.
All right, so your answer is you do not believe that the eyeglasses have been checked for trace evidence?
I don't know. That's been in the custody of the criminalist for some time.
All right, again, but now you talk about the criminalist. The criminalist works, however, under your direction. Isn't that correct?
At the crime scene, yes.
And the criminalist is not a police officer.
That's correct. They're civilians.
Civilian employee.
Yes,
You call them to the scene. Is that correct?
generally, yes.
And in this case, do you remember what time you called the criminalist to the scene?
I did not call the criminalist. The criminalist, I believe, was called by someone else to the Rockingham location.
All right, who called them to the Rockingham location?
I had received information from my partner that the criminalist was en route there, so it was either him or he had someone do it.
So you're not for sure who called.
No.
But at any rate, so that we're clear, the criminalist went to the Rockingham scene before ever coming to the Bundy location, right?
Yes.
And what was your best approximation of what time did the criminalist arrive at the Bundy crime scene?
The Bundy crime scene, I believe the criminalists arrived at approximately 10:15, somewhere in there.
And that would have been approximately an hour after the coroner's investigator arrived there at about 9:10. Is that correct?
Yes.
In your investigations, do you normally like to have the criminalist there before the coroner arrives?
Under ideal circumstances, I would like everyone there as soon as they can get there.
And as early as possible. Isn't that a fair statement?
Certainly.
Helps you do your job better. Isn't that correct?
I would say so.
So in this instance, if Risky arrived at the scene at 12:10, the first criminalist on the scene would have been there about after 10 o'clock, 10:15. So perhaps that would be 10 hours and 5 minutes later. Is that right?
I believe that's the way it figures, yes.
The bodies had been moved by the time the two criminals got there?
I believe they arrived at the time that they were getting examined by the and moved, yes, about that time.
Now, there's an exhibit that I think I want to check it out. Just a second.
Sir.
Exhibit defendant's 1039, Your Honor.
All right. With the reporter, please.
Detective Lang, who were the criminalists who ultimately came to the Bundy location on the early morning hours of June 13th, 1994?
Fung and Mazzola.
And what does the initials OIC mean?
Overruled.
What does OIC mean?
I don't know.
Are you familiar with a form called the Crime Scene Investigation Checklist?
I believe it's a form that's used by criminalists in the field.
Have you seen that form before?
Probably have.
And with regard to the term search team, OIC name, do you know what that means?
I could only assume it's scientific.
Overruled.
It's a scientific investigation division form. I'm assuming that would be their criminalist search team at a crime scene. All right, and as between Mazzola and Fung, who was the most experienced, if you know?
I believe Fung.
And were you aware of how many crime scenes before this Mazzola had worked on before this particular case in June 13th, 1994?
Yes, hearsay relevant.
If he knows.
Overruled, if you know.
Not at that time, no.
Now, you had worked with Fung before this date of June 1994? You knew him?
I knew who he was. I don't recall working any specific cases with him.
And as between Mazzola and Fung, if you know, which was the officer in charge? Which of the two of them were in charge?
I would have said Fung.
All right, may I show him this form, yeah, this point now? 1039.
You can show it to him,
Thank you.
see if it refreshes any recollection.
Ask you whether or not 1039 refresh your recollection as to which was in charge.
Objection, that was not the question. And there's no need for refreshing recollection as to who was in charge, as detective indicated
Overruled.
notes.
Overruled.
Judge,
You want my interpretation of this?
No,
No,
don't you
just
read it
whether
to
or
yourself.
not, whether or not it refreshes your recollection as to which criminalist was in charge.
No.
It's not a fresh recollection?
No.
All right. By the way, this particular
Thank
form, is this
you,
the form
Lang.
that you thought it was? It's a criminalist form?
No, it's not.
All right, what is this form then? Crime scene investigation checklist.
This is a form used by Scientific Investigation Division for their purposes.
And that's part of the LAPD?
It's part of the LAPD. It's not a form that I use or am familiar with.
All right. Have you ever seen that form before?
I believe in this case I probably have. Yes, it's in, should be part of SID's notes.
All right. And as such, as between Fung and Mazzola or Mazzola and Fung, you didn't call either one of them on that particular day. Is that right?
No.
A little bit more. So,
Keep going.
all right. There you go. You're not finished. Now, were you present at the Bundy location when the knit cap was taken by someone, by the criminalist presumably, be booked into evidence?
I don't know if I was there or not.
You have any independent recollection of that at all?
No.
Do you remember seeing Fung at that location?
Oh, yes.
You remember seeing Mazzola at the location?
Yes.
Do you remember whether or not at some point Fung was placing items of evidence into a paper bag of some kind?
I don't recall specifically seeing him do that. I recall him being with the glove and when I examined the glove, but and putting it in the bag at that time, but I believe that was in the criminalist wagon in the truck.
All right. We talked briefly about this before. You had asked and was assisted, you were assisted by Phillips in calling the coroner's office for the first call. Is that correct?
Yes.
And in your notes that you wrote down, you indicated something about the call being at 7:35, is it? That call was later than 7:35, is that correct?
I don't recall writing 7:35.
Let's refer to your notes. The crime scene notes. I think it's 054 is what I see. Counsel, the first page, Detective.
0547.
Yes, I-7 is cut off. You see at the very top there? It says something about Heath notified. You see that?
Yes.
Seems like that was written over. What does that say in your notes?
Foreign investigator Heath notified 0735.
Okay, 0735, that's 7:35 in the morning?
Yes.
And you know now from the reports in this case that the coroner was first called at perhaps 6:49, 6:50 in the morning. Is that right?
Something like that, yes.
And that the second call was about 8:08 in the morning. Is that correct?
I don't recall, but perhaps, yes.
All right. At the time that you had Phillips call the coroner the first time, did you know that Mr. Goldman and Ms. Brown Simpson had died from knife wounds?
The time of the first coroner's notification?
Yes, one just before 7 o'clock in the morning.
Not for sure, no.
Well, you didn't think they'd been bludgeoned to death, did you?
Didn't appear to be.
You could see both their bodies, could you not?
Yes.
And you didn't think they'd been shot, did you? At that point,
I couldn't say.
you had no idea at all.
I felt that it could have been a combination of things, certainly. We more or less reserve judgment until the coroner's investigator gets there and we can examine further.
And would you subscribe to the theory that in telling the coroner's investigator that we don't know whether these bodies were bludgeoned to death or shot? Is that was the state of your mind at that time when the coroner's first call was made, shortly before 7 o'clock on June 13th, 1994?
I didn't know.
All right. Did you ever at any time before it was collected ever examine this glove that we've seen depicted at the Bundy location?
Did I examine it?
Yes, sir.
When?
At early that morning before it was ever collected by anyone.
In the presence of Mr. Fung, yes.
And this is before Fung, did Fung collect it after that, if you know?
I believe it had been collected.
And by collected, what do we mean?
Picked it up. I believe it had been picked up. In fact, what I testified to is I observed it in the truck. He was pointing out to me that there were to be careful of the glove, that there were hairs and fibers on it.
Fung pointed this out for you.
Yes.
Right. And with regard to that glove, there are Caucasian hairs on that glove. Isn't that correct?
I don't know.
You don't know that whether there were Caucasian hairs on that glove?
No,
Were there Caucasian hairs on either of the gloves?
I don't know.
You have no knowledge of that at all?
I've heard that I don't have
Not
all.
what you heard, just what you know.
How else would you know?
Well, I'm asking what he knows, and he'll have to tell us as the investigator, Your Honor, but not.
All right, wait,
It's not a hearsay.
wait. And he'll have to tell us after lunch.
All right.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take our recess for the noon hour at this time. Please remember my admonitions to you. Don't discuss the case amongst yourselves. Don't form any opinions about the case. Don't allow anybody to communicate with you with regard to the case. Do not conduct any deliberations till the matter has been submitted to you finally. Detective Lang, your excuse ordered back for 1:30. Ladies and gentlemen, 1:30. We're in recess. So, Mr. Cochran, Mr. Bailey, Mr. Cochran, are you prepared to go forward?
I'm prepared to go forward, Your Honor. There's probably at some point I'm gonna need Mr. Harris for the Elmo, et cetera, but I can go forward.
All right.
I guess I presume they're all locked out.
Well, we had Mr. Fairwell. You could probably assist us.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's have
Only if the defense pays for them. Files cost you too much money.
All right, give me back the money for those potato chips.
I take that back.
them to be quiet. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, my apologies to you for the delay in getting started. We had a bomb scare down on the bottom floor, and the sheriffs and the LAPD had to evacuate 2 of the floors. They had to stop all the elevators. This is a day.
What? What?
We started out, things were going so well, and naturally something had to happen. So that's the reason for the delay. The building has been secured, it's not a problem, and we're ready to proceed. And as spectators trickle in.
I didn't, but I'll tell you what I did watch. I watched, I don't know what it's called. I'm sorry. Fozzie told me to watch it. It's like 30, and then there's a middle word and 30. 30 in 30, 30 on 30, 30 something 30. And it's an ESPN show. Hey, 3430. And he sent me July 12th, 1994. Or, I'm close if I'm not on the exact date. And there was so much stuff that we're not gonna get into here. Like, OJ all but confessing when we're doing the whole Bronco chase and things like that. There was news reports of it, but none of that was allowed in here. Everything he said to the police while the Bronco was being rapidly chased by the police was not allowed to be shown for the jury. Yeah, it was really good. It was so it was kind of sad though because this show wasn't about OJ. It was about like great big things that happened on that date of that year. And there were all these great things in sports happening. And then there was OJ murdering someone. Arnold Palmer playing his last game. I mean, it was just all these great things were happening, and and then the OJ murdering somebody. But it was pretty good. It was really good.
And there'll be a little more disruption
And I'm gonna steal some of it and play it here as soon as I can.
than normal, because normally when we start the court session, nobody's allowed to enter the courtroom, but because of the late start, I'm going to let people sort of wander in on Scout's honor, that they'll be quiet as they do so. All right, Mr. Cochran, you may resume with your cross-examination.
Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, Detective Lang. Over the lunch hour, were you able to find that Bonita Ecuador label, the picture thereof?
I believe it's in evidence. I didn't get it.
You believe it's in evidence where? In this courtroom?
No, I believe it's at Scientific Investigation Division.
All right, do you have a photograph of it?
There's a overall photograph, as I stated, but there's not a close-up photograph. It's not a very good photograph.
And do you have that with you?
No.
All right, and what does this overall photograph show?
It shows looking down on the walkway at the stationary gate to the south, at the south side of the walkway.
And if you saw an overall photograph now, could you point it out for us?
Yes,
Because it's not been marked in this case, has it?
I don't believe so.
All right, let me see if I can find one. You can at least give us an approximation of where it's labeled.
I didn't care about it. I also didn't hear. I didn't hear anything. I didn't know who Rosa Lopez was or how much of a freaking liar she was. I didn't know that, Johnny Cochran and his whole teams were fucking corrupt and just criminals themselves. I didn't know anything. Like, no one said that. No one said, look what they did in court today. You're not allowed to do that in a courtroom. And I'm wondering, well, were they allowed to do it back then? Because I'm pretty sure many laws have changed since 1994. So maybe some of the crap that they're pulling in here, is okay. Was okay back then. Would never, ever, ever fly now. Oh, I knew who OJ was. Everybody loved OJ. Everybody loved OJ.
Mr. Fairlow, you want to give Mr. Cochran a hand fishing for those exhibits, please? So we don't lose the easel again. Yeah, Mr. Fairlow, I'll give you a hand with the.
I love that for you. I love it.
Certainly.
Plea of game, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down for the prosecution.
Ordinance, plaintiff's 43.
All right, photographers are directed not to take any photographs of this item.
Specifically 43D.
All right, 43D as in David.
D is David. Oh, here. On 43D, can you show us where this Bonita Ecuador label is found in relation to the post of the front gate? He's pointing to an area just to the right of the post on the south side of the walkway. Is that right? On the south side of the walkway. It's a little, just like a little label. Yes. Is that correct? Yes. That's picture 43D. Yes. Have you seen any other photographs which are clear with regard to that? No.
Excuse me, Your Honor, with Mr. Fairlow's assistance, we have located one that does actually depict this label. Appears to be a fruit type label, right there. And we can put it on the Elmo and blow it up if you want.
Nice.
I'll mark this as defendant's next in order, Your Honor.
1047.
1047.
All right, people's, excuse me, defense 1047.
1047. Put it on the Elmo and then I think everyone can see it. And can you see, let's clear it up first. All right, now, can you see on your monitor?
Yes,
And is that a foot? Is that a man's shoe?
appears to be that, one, yes.
All right, and is that, will you point out for us, or let me ask you this. Is the Bonita Ecuador label to the left of that man's left shoe there?
Yes, to the left of the shoe and to the right of the post.
All right, and that's the post on the south side of the walkway at the front gate. Is that correct, sir?
At the stationary gate to the south of the walkway, yes.
All right, and that's the location. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Fairlawn. Your Honor, while we're about it, and we're looking at photographs, let me put People's 48 identification. This now placed technical landing, I think it's 48 and 48A. It's a larger photograph I showed you this morning. When you look at the card labeled 112, what is that?
112 indicates the location of a blood drop.
All right, and can you show us the closest footprint of that card?
Appears to be footprint here.
All right,
So tough to tell because of the lighting. That's another one here.
all right. In the foreground, there are some sort of clear footprints.
This appears to be one here. Yeah.
Now, can you see on that photograph 48A where you say there's a point where the individual turns toward the building and there are two footprints that are going toward the building? Can you see that depicted from that photograph?
It'd be approximately this area here.
And now you're referring to an area in the center, about the center of 48A, is that correct?
Yes.
And describe for the jury how those footprints, which direction they were pointing to shoot.
The front was more or less pointed towards the left, indicating someone may have been turning around.
All right.
Back.
Is that the only place that you see shoe prints pointing toward the particular building?
Yes.
While you're up, sir, with regard to 48, yeah,
you recall there was some berries or some kind of plant material on that back gate as you walked out the walkway there?
Quite a bit of debris, yes.
And was there a tree above that, those berries or whatever?
There are bushes and trees off to the right of the photograph.
All right. With regard to this trash can back here depicted on 48J, was that one of the areas that was searched either for weapons or any kind of bloody clothes or whatever?
Yes.
Does this picture here seek to illuminate or portray that?
Yes.
And so to be clear again, on the right side, the north side of this Jeep Cherokee, that's where some of this change was found, is that correct?
Yes.
So I'm not totally clear, Detective Lane. Did you find 1 dime and 1 penny, or 2 dimes and 2 pennies?
My recollection is 1 dime and 1 penny.
And is that what was booked?
Yes.
Can you
Breathe.
look,
Breathe.
can you look
They're hitting the 11 cents, and you know he's gonna hit it pretty hard. He's probably gonna hit it for the rest of this video. So breathe through it.
Take a look at your notes in your report and see if there's an indication that there were really 2 dimes and 2 pennies. Look at page 0555.
So he said, look at page 0555. Did he mean 0555, or are his binders? This is binder A, B, C, D, E, F. I'm not going to get to L, but I wonder if he meant O, 555, as in he has letters and numbers to point out the pages of his binders. Or if he meant 0.
States 2 dimes and 2 pennies in the driveway north of the Jeep.
And is that what's depicted in that area, 48, is that 48F, I guess it was, near the trash can?
It seems to me there's
10
1 dime
cents.
and 1 penny.
No,
Well, what does your report say?
that's just like a loaded question, CJ.
Well, you wrote that? Is that in your hand?
A dime? A dime is okay. If you're talking about money, it's 10 cents.
Or which is it, 2 dimes and 2 pennies or 1 dime and 1 penny?
There's 2 dimes and 2 pennies, if that's what's written there.
All right, that was written contemporaneously with your observation, is that correct?
That's correct.
Now, if you only booked 1 dime and 1 penny, why would you do that?
I didn't book anything. The criminal has collected and booked all those items.
Well,
Detective, can I get you to use the microphone there, please? Thank you.
but this would have been pointed out to the criminalist by you. They did what you'd asked them to do, presumably, is that correct?
That's correct.
And if you saw 2 dimes and 2 pennies, would you ask them to book 2 dimes and 2 pennies?
Certainly.
You wouldn't leave evidence out there, would you?
No.
And this is the same area, however, where near the right front tire of this particular Jeep, this small blue glass plastic heart was located. Isn't that right?
That's correct.
And that blue plastic heart, was that also pointed out by you to the criminalist?
I believe so.
And I think our testimony was it was not booked until August. Is that right? August
Yes.
94? Do you know when the dime and penny or dimes and pennies were finally booked?
I'd have to.
We really need to think about something, though, guys. This could have been in Georgia. Think about that. I'm trying. Hold on. Can you think about George Cofford or George or Judge Cofford or Judge Reeves doing this trial? Really, really slowly thinking after every question. Oh my God. Oh man. That would have been epic.
To consult the criminalist report.
Do you have that in your report there? Can you do that for us?
Yes.
All right, excuse me, Mr. Cochran, perhaps we could have Mr. Douglas or one of your assistants move that diagram back because it's blocking the view of some of the jurors of Detective
No, I
Blank.
can do it. I can do it.
Yeah, but she's fast. We need a good slow slow judging here. Or Eric,
That's blank.
you know, the golden statue judge, Eric Johnson. Like after everything, every question, he has to stop and think for, which I love. I love that about him. Oh my gosh, this trial would take 7 or 8 years if it wasn't in LA like it is.
That's blank. Thank you. Thank you.
Where's Judge Middleton? He will talk about everybody. He knows the whole town.
Yes, it's in the criminalist report, item 53.
Judge Simpson versus Johnny Cochran. No, I can't believe Judge Simpson would have allowed Rosa to testify, would have allowed any of that stuff to happen. I can't believe he would have. Oh, Christofino just absolutely would not have. Absolutely. And all these objections Marsha's saying, sustained, sustained, sustained. He would have sustained them all.
And what does that report indicate?
Dime and a penny totaling 11 cents recovered from the driveway, 6 feet east of the west gate.
Presumably that was what was booked as evidence?
Correct.
What date was that booked?
Back then, 11 cents was the house payment.
6/15/94.
You saw this on 6/13, is that correct?
Yes.
Now, what, and the plastic heart, you have the date that was actually booked?
Ito, why are you allowing this? Ito, come on, Judge. Get it together.
It's booked on August 25/94.
That is the plastic heart.
Yes.
Okay, and if there's not too much trouble, what date was the Bonita Ecuador label booked?
The June 15th also.
And they were first seen on the 13th, is that correct?
Yes.
And again, your manual calls, the Los Angeles Police Department manual calls for evidence to be booked as soon as possible, isn't that correct?
Under certain guidelines, that is a guide. It's not a hard and fast rule. If there's evidence that's constantly coming in, well, it wouldn't necessarily be booked immediately.
Well, Detective, I understand that it's a guideline, but you're not supposed to carry evidence around with you in your pocket or take it home if you can book it. Isn't that correct?
Generally not.
Okay. As a matter of chain of custody, isn't the best procedure?
The witness obviously is not finished.
Asked and
Sustained.
answered
Do you
a
have more to say?
million times.
There are
already.
times when evidence would be secured in our office at Robbery Homicide Division.
All right. We're talking about in a usual procedure, if you see evidence at the scene, the best procedure would normally be to secure that evidence, bring it back and book it and keep the chain of custody intact. Isn't that correct?
That would be the preferable method unless some other situation existed preventing that.
And that's what your manual has in mind when it talks about booking evidence as soon as possible. Isn't that correct?
As a guide, yes.
And that's where you were trained. Isn't that correct, sir?
Again, yes, as a guide.
Okay. And as a guide, in this case, The sneakers were not booked the same day they were recovered, were they?
They couldn't have been.
All right. And the
I think we've gone through this, haven't
right.
we?
I'm moving on, Your Honor.
Oh.
Neither was Mr.
Thanks,
Simpson's
Judge.
blood was
We'll
not
wait.
booked the same day it was recovered, was it?
Believe-
It's had nothing to do with that.
If he knows, Your Honor, he was there.
He wasn't there.
How do we know
Were you
that?
I was at the Rockingham location later that evening
When the blood was there, wasn't
when it was brought by.
it? Right. With Van Etter, right?
Yes,
All right. And was Fung there at that time?
I believe he was.
Did you ever see Van Etter give that blood to Fung?
No,
Now, that was on June 13th after 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Is that correct?
yes,
And you previously told us that on June 14th, the next day, which would be Tuesday, you were downtown at the SID lab. Is that correct?
yes,
As early as 7 o'clock that morning?
that's correct.
And the blood was booked finally at what time?
Do you know?
Apples and oranges.
Wait.
It was, I know that we have 24 hours to book blood, and I know it was turned over to the criminalist. Aside from that, I don't know anything about it.
You don't know what time it was turned over, actually?
No,
If you looked at your chronological record for June 14th, 1994, would that tend to refresh your recollection?
I can check.
Can you look at that and look at page 00007?
I mean, Lang's trying. He's not getting frustrated. He's not getting tired. He's taking each question. I'll try.
Okay.
And is that an indication that you were at the SID lab on 6/14/94 at about 7 o'clock in the morning?
Yes,
And this is in your own handwriting?
yes, it is.
When you talk about conferring with criminalists Matheson and Wong, who's Wong?
Wong is another criminalist who was present.
All right, that's not Fung. Somebody
No,
else?
I don't believe Fung was at that location.
How could you confuse Fong and Wong?
I was just asking, I said that wasn't Fung or Wong. Wong, he has Wong here, and I'm asking what that was not Fung, because I don't see Fung down here. But there was, let me ask you another question. Did you indicate earlier that Fung, that the blood was turned over to Fung the next morning? Did you indicate that at some point?
Mr. Simpson's blood?
Yes.
I may have indicated that it was by my partner.
All right. And in your notes, I'm just trying to find out whether or not at any time we were at that lab that morning, you saw Fung, not Wong, but Fung.
I don't recall seeing him. That's not his normal office.
What does Australia have against the letter R? Why? Why can't you guys just say R? Why? I'm getting into my car later. I'm going to drive my car.
He's out of Northeast Station. I don't recall seeing him there. What I would have done is written down the names of the persons who were present.
All right. Now, what is the basis for your statement that you have to book blood within 24 hours?
You alluded to the manual, and that's in the manual
That's
that
why.
we have 24 hours in which
This
to
is
book blood.
so big.
Doesn't it also say you should book it as absolutely as soon as possible?
I believe this is 24 hours.
Doesn't it say you're supposed to book it as soon as possible, however, though?
Again, in regards to blood, I believe it does say within 24 hours.
All right, does it say it's booked as soon as possible and no later than 24 hours?
As far as blood, I don't believe so. I believe it's 24 hours.
Is it also supposed to be refrigerated as soon as possible, the blood?
From what I understand, that's preferable.
And would it be appropriate to take blood home with you at night and bring it back the next morning?
Take blood home.
Yes, to take a vial of blood home and book it the next morning after you took it, let's say at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 2:30 in the afternoon.
I work in a restaurant. Sometimes I bring those little white towels home and then I bring them back in the next day, but I don't ever bring blood home from the meat. Never, never. Why would you bring blood home? No, I love that banner too, but that's why she can't say, that's why they don't say ours, because it's just so big there. It's just everything is just too big. Yep. Okay, in restaurants in the United States, we all have the same little white towels with one blue stripe and one orange stripe running down the center. If you ever worked in a restaurant, you have a house filled with these little towels. Yeah, because everything's so big. Yes. Yes, she does.
Afternoon on a given day.
I've never heard of that
And she's
happening.
cute.
I would not do that, no.
You wouldn't do that?
No.
Now, in the course of your investigation in this case, did you or Detective Payne, under your direction, have occasion?
More like it's smaller than a tea towel. More like a big washcloth. So it's like this big. So it's like bigger than a washcloth, but not as big as a tea towel.
To investigate a complaint by Miss Nicole Brown Simpson of annoying phone calls?
Never.
I did not.
That's the whole point. Okay, they come from, so like they just get delivered. They just come with big bags of these rags, and then I take them. For me, for my bar, I take them and I fold them. I fold them in a little stack where all the blue and the orange are facing the same way. My little stacks, all the blue and orange are facing the same way, and there's an inside and an outside, even though it's just, oh yeah, like a bar cloth. Yes. Yes, I bring those home, but I take them back. But no, I don't wash them because there's these two big bags in the back of the restaurant. You just throw them in there and the company takes them away and the company washes them correctly. It's like I wouldn't be able to wash them at home because I don't have the proper soap for that. Like I can't use a soap that would irritate someone's skin. I mean, it's for a restaurant, so it has to be, it has to be completely sanitized, and there can't be any dyes or perfumes or anything like that on it. So we just throw them in the bag, and they do what they do in their factory, and they bring us more rags. Yes, except shop rags, they're allowed to be. You can wash them. No one cares if there's Tide on your shop rag. I could never bring a rag that I washed in Tide or Gain into a bar where there's food. People would be allergic to that left and right. I already know it.
All right.
Tacos. I have a beer on tap called El Loco right now. It's a Mexican cerveza, and it's delicious. It's better than Corona. So that's what I'm going to be doing today.
All right, thank you, counsel. Proceed.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. Now, with regard to, I'd asked some questions earlier about Faye Resnick. Do you know where Faye Resnick was on the date of June 12th, 1994? Look it up here. In the course of your investigation in this case.
Cochran, I'm sorry, I can't stand you anymore. I'm just trying to suffer through this, which means the pause button's going to happen. I can't use Dove soap. Dove soap, not the chocolate. Oh my God, I love the chocolate so much. But the soap, I break out in a rash if I touch the soap. So I told that to my doctor. And now he has in my chart, and everywhere I go, every doctor's office or hospital I go to, so they see the same thing. She's allergic to soap. That's what he put. I'm allergic to soap.
Did you ever look at the possibility that drugs were a factor in these killings?
Superficially, we looked at the possibility of drugs. However,
You've answered the question. You looked at the possibility of drugs. I asked, did they ever look at the possibility of drugs? He answered that. He said, yes,
You can answer
superficially.
yes or no.
Yes. Did you answer yes, superficially?
yes,
And in that connection, did you look at the background of Faye Resnick between the period of June 3rd, 1994 and June 12th, 1994?
no,
Were you aware that she had moved in with Nicole Brown Simpson at sometime after June 3rd of 1994, on or after June 3rd, 1994? Were you aware of that? Overruled.
I had heard that.
Were you aware that on or about June 8th, 1994, she was placed in a drug I'm asking if he became aware, Your Honor, if I can finish the question. I'm asking if he became aware in the course.
It's assuming facts that aren't in evidence. Sustained.
You, of course, have read or heard a tape statement taken from Faye Resnick, have you not?
I don't believe I've heard that statement, no.
Have you read or heard a statement taken from Dr. Christian Reichardt?
I don't believe so.
Do you know where Faye Resnick resided after June 8th, 1994?
I can't even send you a picture of my son's shoes because it's just it's so humiliating. He has other shoes. And I don't know, I threw them away a couple times, but he finds them and he gets them back. And they're so bad.
No.
You talked with Cora Fishman in connection with your investigation in this case.
I have not personally, no.
But she's one of the witnesses that you've had talked to by other investigators?
She was a non-cooperative witness. We attempted to speak with her several times, yes.
Have you seen a statement from her at this point?
I don't believe there's a statement.
Well, in this superficial investigation you did regarding the possibility of drugs, what did you do?
In any murder, there's always the possibility of drugs.
Can you answer my question? What did you do with regard to your superficial investigation regarding drugs in this case, not any murder?
Overruled. Go ahead and answer the question.
Considered the possibility that drugs may have been involved by looking for evidence of drugs at the scene or becoming aware of any knowledge that the victim might have had something to do with drugs. That's normally something we would do. We had another direction to go. This particular case, we had another direction to go.
And with regard to gathering evidence, sir, you have to go out. Part of being an investigator is to investigate to try to turn up evidence. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
And if you knew that there were individuals who had lived at this residence who might have some bearing on drugs, would it be reasonable for you to go and talk to those individuals, you personally, as the lead investigator?
If you had no other direction to go, and that was a logical sequence of events, yes.
All right, and once you make a decision that there's only one direction to go, then you don't go and look at anything else. Is that correct, sir?
No, that's
No.
not the case at all.
All right, enough of him. I gotta get out of this stupid chair. And there's this case in Connecticut this morning. So these two neighbors live beside each other and they took their backyards and they built this great big four-wheeler dirt track to run their dirt bikes on, with hills and dips and curves. Well, the other neighbor is really upset that they were at it for 4 hours the other day, but he didn't say 4 hours. I wish I still had it up. He had the exact amount of minutes that 4 hours is, and that's what he put in his complaint. So I'm going to get it. I'm just praying that they are pro se. Just give me pro se, please, because this is going to be golden if it's pro se. If it's lawyers, it could be boring, and then it's going to ruin my day. But that happens in just a few minutes. We are 13 minutes away from 8 o'clock, and it's a Monday, which means we don't even know what we're going to get this week. We're going to get some good cases this week, guys. I know it. We're going to finish that Texas A&M, I hope, this week so I can start playing it. And we're going to get people upset with dirt bikes. Thank you so much for coming out. I really, really, really appreciate it. I will see you all again very, very, very soon. Your birthday is tomorrow? No. Oh, that's awesome. Okay, we're going to celebrate. We're going to have lots of comments for you. Everybody, be good. Behave. Okay? And CJ, make sure you come to the stream at least for a minute tomorrow so we can all say happy birthday. I know it's your birthday and you're going to be busy with champagne, but give us a chance to say happy birthday before you start drinking, or while you're drinking, or after you're drinking. I don't care. Bye, guys. Thank you so much for coming out.